My name is Jarrod Tollet, and I am the owner-operator for 2 locations of The Cave, comic books, toys, and games. I've been selling comics for 27 plus years. I worked at another place for a little bit, kind of helped them out, learned some stuff, and then through life's weird changes, I ended up deciding to open my own comic book store. Well, that's kind of a tricky question. My educational background for running a comic book store is kind of exactly opposite of what you would think for a business owner. I have a degree in physics, I have a degree in history, and I have a degree in education. But all of those degrees, the educational pathway that you choose should provide like logic and reasoning choices, and then the entrepreneurial spirit kind of flows from I enjoy the retro action figures, the retro video games, and because I'm passionate about those things, I want to build a community that I can share with others. Educationally, probably the physics background made me really strong with math, so I can do things with Excel tables. Being passionate about comics, the history part allows me to kind of reflect back onto those early artists. So there's really lots of different things for education that kind of creeps in, but they're not right in your face of you would learn this in a college degree. There's a ton of things, but I would say probably the best education you could get is passion. Like if you really love it, you can't just focus on one little part of it. You have to focus on how does it come out all the way around. Truth about it is you don't own a business, it owns you. If you want to be successful, you have to forget that the hours say that you're open this time to this time. Sometimes you get there way earlier than what you want, before the customers all get there, because you have things that you've got to do before you can open. As mundane as it sounds, there's wiping down fixtures, you got to get the Windex out and clean glass. So you got to do your vacuuming, you got to take out trash. When customers are in the store, it's really hard to put something on the shelf. It's really hard to price things. It's really hard to move things around because you're trying to focus on how do I help and serve my customer, my client. They won't tell you that you have to Z out a register, and what does that really mean? It basically means you clear the register, figure out what the sales were for the day. You make sure that your drawer is a good count. You put it all away. Essentially, you're just shutting the business down for the day. So you have to print out your credit card receipt programs. You want to make sure that all the numbers match. And then, of course, the small things are turn off the lights, make sure that the thermostat's set at the right thing, and then make sure you lock the door on your way out. The exciting part comes in when you get those good conversations from your customers. So it makes the day go faster when it's good and meaningful for both sides. So there's kind of a difference from meaningful interaction and just filling the day. Yes. So we did several different shows over the course of a couple of years, and those interactions are different. It's different than a normal everyday operation of a store. You get there, of course, before the show opens, and you stay when the show is down, but there's a lot of setup and breakdown. From my perspective, I think the comic convention switched a lot more from a comic book oriented to a lot more pop culture, and it's not so much it's a bad thing, but when you start having less comic book vendors, it kind of changes the perspective of what you're there for. But they're fun. They're a lot of fun. When you're a retailer at one, you get a little bit of extra access to maybe some of the different stars at different points, so you can kind of cut the line in some cases, or go work out deals with an artist before or after. And the field is really diverse right now. So I think the trick is finding that happy balance of making sure you have either things that people are attracted to that they'll come for, or people that they're attracted to and want to get there. So if you have like a comic book writer, if they're just kind of a lower name that doesn't really resonate with a lot of people, you're not going to draw the same kind of crowd as you would if you have a more popular artist. Ticket price needs to be one of those things that you really get a wrap on, because the average person, if you can lower that entry fee, get them in and still provide a pretty good service, where you're going to advertise, and then probably just a good word of mouth far enough out in time with different groups. So Facebook has a lot of different groups that love certain things. You can visit the different stores that sell those kind of things, leave the flyers, mail them out. You got to have a place that's big enough so that, is it going to be a one day? One day may not be generating enough interest from vendors because they may not want to bring all their stuff, set up, and then take down in the same day. A lot of places, they won't even attend a comic convention or something unless there's at least a 2 to 3 day event, because it's a lot of work to set it up. Then you got to figure out, is there hotel space close by? What kind of room deals? So you have to work out deals with hotels, typically to say, hey, look, if you're buying the pass to us, this is the convention hotel, and knowing what else is going on in your area, that calendar might fill up and the hotel may not have room. So if you want to do it at the same day that they're already having something else, you may be a detractor for your own crowd. In some ways, it could be a plus because they're like, hey, we're already going there for that. That's not going to take us all day, so maybe we'll also take in this. That can be fairly okay, but when you're talking about staying and booking up rooms, it may fill up, and then you won't get all the people that you want. My thought process has always been, if I provide a great service, then word of mouth will get there. The problem with that thinking, word of mouth for good experiences spreads slower than word of mouth for bad experiences. I try to build long-term relationships with people, and when new people happen to stumble by, I try to make sure that they know what kind of services we provide. I think my next attempt at a venture will probably be advertising through the movie theater. People really hate those reels that go by, but it sees a lot more eyeballs than what a lot of people think. It's really hard to hit all the right crowds with just one platform. So there's so many people that are attracted to different advertising routes. If you're not careful, if you put all your eggs in one basket, you're kind of going to miss it. But if you spread yourself too thin, you don't get enough exposure in that one area either. On average, most businesses close in the first year because they don't have that idea that they're not going to take off making a lot of money right off the bat. I'd like to say most of the time people are the same. If you offer something that they like, and you can be friendly and helpful, even if you don't have something, you can recommend them to someone else that does. I think that can go a long way too, because they realize that you're not just there to get money out of their pocket, but help them enjoy the stuff that they do. So there's a lot of customer loyalty in that. You have to have some kind of thought process of, if you build it, they'll come. But if you rely too much on that, it'll kind of be doomed to fail too, because you have to do more than just open up. A lot of entrepreneurs don't realize that if you're having an employee, you have to budget for not only their clock time, but you have to provide extra on taxes and workers' compensation. So you need to know those particular numbers. Probably need to be really, really familiar with Excel. The Excel software can do so much, and you can put in like your monthly budget of what you're hoping to return and then what it's going to cost you to stay open. Maybe you have the biggest sale that you had all year. The tendency is to go and spend that money, but what you might need to do is put some of that back and say, hey, my next couple of months might be slim, so how do I carry that over? So self-discipline with finances, you really need to go visit with a CPA. The mistake that I made in business when we first started is I didn't have an inventory tracker. So I spent about 10 years in business without something to help track the inventory. And so you had to do a physical count like crazy. And it was so difficult because you couldn't remember how much you paid on something and what your profit margin was when you sold it. Nobody ever thinks about it, but you need insurance. So you got to be able to look for insurance. What are you going to sell? How do you classify it? Put it in the right way. The most enjoyable part of owning a comic book shop for me is I don't like buying collections, but we do buy collections. It's kind of how we stay in business, and it's a must-have. We kind of do it. But what I love is I love to see the collections that come in. I love to find out what other people have been interested, what they collected, what they enjoyed. I really love that community part. I want to know, what was their favorite video game? Like, out of this collection, which one got played the most? We don't all have enough time. We don't all have enough money, but we've picked and chosen the things that we wanted with our limited budget. And so we pass some things up, and maybe it's nice sometimes to hear, well, hey, you should really give that one a shot. Like, if you have it, you should really go get that one, because it really is a lot of fun. By far the most challenging thing for me owning a comic book store is taxes. I hate taxes with passion. I mean, I hate dragging the paper boxes out. I hate getting the stuff out. I don't like counting inventory for the taxes. I don't like the paperwork. I don't mind paying bills. That's one thing, but taxes, man. Being a comic book store owner, I don't like rebagging and boarding comics. I hate rebagging and boarding comics. My two things that I probably hate the most about being an owner is rebagging and boarding comic books and doing taxes. Taxes would be the number one thing every time. Any student that wants to own their own business needs to I hate to say this, suck it up and learn your math skills. Like, I don't say I'm never going to use this when you're looking at algebra, because if you're a business owner and you don't know algebra, you're going to have to go pay somebody who does know some algebra so that they can do the algebra for you. And I know that sounds really crude, but just suck it up and do that math homework. You don't have to be the best at math, but you have to be able to do it. You have to be able to do something. Know your math, learn something about taxes, pay attention to your CPA.